Just so you know, qualifying has been paused due to a red flag for debris. That is, an engine cover has detached itself from the rear of a Williams. I don't know which one it was. I'm going to check very quickly. If you're watching this on playback, we are having a red flag in Q1. So, for anyone who's been... Oh, Alex Albon had his engine cover blow off. Horribly, mind you. This is the incident that has brought the session to a red flag. I don't know whether Albon can continue or not, because obviously I don't know whether it's easy to fix. And look at that, that was a pretty not. Oh dear, that's a lot of debris off the car there. Dang. Yeah, no, absolute they were on red flag there. Gotta clear the damage up, and of course Albon spun around the car with, I think, probably one of his tyres getting damaged. That's a very frustrated pit crew there. 10th place grid penalty for Yuki Tsunoda after a red flag infringement in final practice. Oh no, look at that. Look at that. Oh dear, look at that. That's a lot. That's the entire rear package that's exposed on the Williams. Good grief. I mean, would it get him back out for Q1? I mean, he's in the drop zone, by the way, so... Oh yeah, they have resumed the second order. Thank you for the like. Alonso is using medium tyres again. And look at how quick they are this year. Only just over 2 tenths slower than George Russell's pole time of a 1 minute 12.00. That was really horrible for Albon. And of course, he nearly crashed his car when the engine cover came off. And if he cannot return, unfortunately, that means he will probably go out of Q1. And unfortunately, I think he'll probably qualify last, because I think Behrman and Hulkenberg will probably do a lap time quicker than his 1 minute 13 something. So yeah, obviously this is Q1. So this is about eliminating the 5 slowest drivers in the session. So as it stands, that means Sainz, Gasly, Albon, Behrman, and Hulkenberg will be heading for the drop zone. And I will keep you updated who will go in the next 3 minutes. We've only got 3 minutes of qualifying meeting plus time to allow the drivers who have started their final laps to complete their final flying laps. Okay, Piastri, Norris go first and second. 1 minute 8. Look at that. They've already gone faster than Russell's pole lap of 1 minute 12.00 from last season. Leclerc jumps Alonso for third. The lap times are tumbling. Sainz, Gasly, Albon, Behrman, Hulkenberg remain in the drop zone. And I'm looking at the track map. Lawson looks like he's leaving the pits. We've only got less than 3 minutes to go. Russell, Antonelli, Lawson have exited the pit lane to start their final flying laps. Albon's in the pits. I think Albon is pretty much going out. Bottas goes into the drop zone. As I think Gasly has set a lap time which takes him up to 13th, but I think Gasly needs to do another lap to guarantee himself Q2. Ocon's on the bubble by just over half a tenth of a second. It's getting tight down here in the drop zone. The two Saubers, Albon's Williams, Behrman's Haas, and Sainz's. Oh, yeah, both Williams look like they could be going out of Q1. Sainz is on a flying lap as Albon. I think his session is done for the day. He's not coming out. The damage to the engine cover has ruined his session. Unfortunately, he'll be out. Colin Pinto's up to 6th. Where has Colin Pinto found this lap time? Thank you for 2 likes so far. Got another lap time. Is that Tsunoda rises up to 9th place. Russell's got up to 5th. It's changing rapidly before our eyes, but the bottom 5 remains the same. Bottas, Sainz, Albon, Behrman, and Hulkenberg. Hamilton improves to 3rd place. Great lap time by the 7-time champion. We've got 60 seconds remaining, folks. Verstappen takes 7th. Casual. It's up to 5th. Some brilliant laps coming in now. Russell's up to 5th, I beg your pardon. Lawson drops into the drop zone as Behrman. Behrman takes 11th, 12th now, and it's going to be Stroll, Lawson, Gasly, Bottas. Oh, has Alpine made it out? Oh no, Alpine. Oh my God, these are changing before I can even read it. Sainz has gone back into the drop zone. Bottas back in. Lawson's down to the back row. Gasly's the slowest guy on track. Is Gasly doing a lap time? He's got to get a hurry up, but Gasly, oh no, Gasly's out, isn't he? I think Gasly's out. Albon up to 8th after that quick engine change by the Williams crew. Great by them. Winning like the Bill Russell. Rest peacefully. Okay, I don't know who he is, but the drop zone is Bottas, Sainz. Sainz is struggling yet again. Stroll, Lawson, Gasly. Gasly's having a miserable session. Albon's gone up to 7th place. What the hell? Albon's having an amazing season, we've got to say. Even with the engine cover getting blown off his car, he still gets into the top 10 for Q1. The guy just got it out of his head. There's no bother, but of course, Gasly, I don't know what's going on here. Gasly can't find any pace. I think he's out, to be honest. Oh no, Gasly's out. Lawson is out, obviously. Stroll's out. Don't know why why he's in the car this weekend. More questions than answers over why Stroll has returned over his supposed wrist injury, which of course many are speculating is just an excuse because he fell out with the team 2 weeks ago and he want to cover it up. Bottas up to 60, well, out in Q1, I beg your pardon. Out qualified by his teammate by just 0.06 seconds. That's extremely tough. Alonso goes 6th with medium tyres. Stroll also tried to do the same, but of course, I have seen stickmen drive faster than Stroll. Sainz shaking my head. It would have been nice to see Bottas again. Yeah, to be honest, Bottas probably would have made Q2, to be honest. Even if he's not like race fit, he would have at least got to Q2 minimum. But, you know, Papa Stroll continues to refuse to see reality. That his son doesn't actually care about Formula One and that he would rather be hitting a tennis ball at Wimbledon. Of course, the only way Stroll could qualify for Wimbledon is to pay his opponents off. I'm waiting for another tantrum. Oh my god! Why did Alonso have a faster car? Oh, let me go and look into the window. Oh god, what an absolute. You know, we are never going to see another driver like Stroll. He has to be the only F1 driver I've ever seen in 24 years who drives quicker in the wet than he does in the rain. No, in the dry, I beg your pardon. He's quicker in the wet than he is in the dry. He's basically enabling Lance, yeah, like an indulgent parent. But Tsunoda 14th. He's he's to be fair, he's less than 3 tenths slower than Max, who's in 5th, but oh dear, so Yuki. I mean, okay, he's only Q1, so we have okay, this is not official yet, but we don't want Bottas. Okay, well, you don't want Bottas back, but I mean, let's be frankly honest, there's no way Bottas would be struggling like Stroll is. He would probably shove Ocon into the drop zone minimum. I don't know what Aston Martin get out of having Stroll back. Like, if Stroll really doesn't want to be there, then why force him to come back? Especially if he's had surgery for his wrist injury. It's absolutely strange. It is just leaving more questions than answers. And by the way, that press conference he did 2 days ago was nothing short of a joke. I know Stroll's not the most loquacious when it comes to interviews, but that was not even professional. That was probably the opposite of being civil or polite towards the journalists. I know journalists can be a difficult bunch to deal with, but you know, even when Kimi got injured his back, well, not injured his back, but strained an old back injury back in 2013, he was a lot more straightforward when the media grilled him on his injuries back when he was driving for Lotus. Stroll, 2.5 years ago, was actually pretty forthcoming when he admitted he had a hand injury. But this time round, he just didn't even answer the questions properly, which makes you think that there was no actual hand injury. It's just an excuse to cover up the fact that he's fallen out with his crew members, and his crew members want him gone. But of course, Papa Stroll is the guy who pays the bills, so I mean, it's really awkward when you consider the fact that Stroll has actually scored 14 out of Aston Martin's 16 points for the season. So, you know, Stroll can drive, but his attitude and his commitment is not good enough. And I wouldn't go as far to say Bottas outstayed his welcome like Ricciardo, because Bottas is still decent enough. It's just that last year, I mean, I think 3 years of driving with Sauber finally got the better of him, and he just really couldn't be arsed anymore. I mean, unlike Ricciardo, who basically gave up the moment he stepped into a McLaren and was annoyed at the fact that the McLaren didn't handle to his preferences. So, and then he complained about the brakes, the steering, and then, of course, when the 2022 front tyres were narrowed slightly, he then complained about the lack of grip from the front end. And then, of course, he got given a second chance by the RB team in 2023 and then injured his wrist. He was pretty straightforward about withdrawing for 5 races. But let's be honest, Ricciardo was done by that point. But I apologise for the echo in my room. Bottas gets eliminated as expected. Sainz, Stroll, and Gasly, I have to say, will be very disappointed. Lawson, obviously, will be disappointed, but Lawson has been consistently outpaced by Hadjar for most of his return to RB, so squeaky bum time there. And of course, Q2 has just started 45 seconds ago, I beg your pardon, but no one has set a lap time just yet. But Now, the guys who finished 11th and 15th, thank you for 2 likes here, in Q2 will be eliminated and will not be competing in Q3. Of course, because the bottom 5 is set in for the Grand Prix 16th, 17th, 18th. Bottas and Stroll, Sainz and Stroll. And the back row will be Lawson and Gasly. Those 5 drivers you see down below my avatar will be starting in those positions. They will not compete any further in qualifying. It's 11th and 15th we're looking out for next. As all the drivers filter out on the track, Verstappen is desperate to get a lap time in. Very frustrated by the lack of pace from the Red Bull this weekend. We have 13 minutes to go. I think Verstappen has now started his lap. Leclerc, the two horses made it into Q2. That's a good job. Pinto, Alonso also coming out on track. I think this is the first. Is this the first time Pinto's going to out-qualify Gasly? Can't say it. Gasly's not very good at qualifying, is he? Don't know what it is, but the number of times I've seen Gasly struggle to warm his tyres up in a qualifying session is quite poor, to be honest, at times, considering he's clearly the quicker driver. But of course, I am seeing comments that people are begging Hadjon not to end up at Red Bull. It's a 1:11.6 for Verstappen, much faster than Russell's pole lap of 1:12.00 last season, and faster than Norris's Q1 lap. The track is evolving rapidly and is providing far more than it did 20 minutes ago. Just so you know, we've only had 5 cars set lap time. How the hell has Max found all that lap time, by the way? What in the living... Oh, that rare holographic Charizard has appeared out of the wilderness again in that Red Bull. Although, to be fair, we all know his dad, your sister, real team principal at Red Bull. Leclerc still outpacing Hamilton as expected, obviously. We all know Hamilton's there at Ferrari for the sake of improving their stock price. Pinto has dropped to 7th, but by God, where the hell has Pinto found that lap time, by the way? Albon sets a fairly poor lap time, but still got 10 minutes to go. Alonso goes 6th, Bayman in 7th, very impressive. Albon's looking a bit slow. That's the 5 guys in the drop zone: Hulkenberg, Hadjar, Tsunoda, Russell, and Antonelli. But those 4 behind Hulkenberg have still not set their lap times yet. 9 minutes to go, everybody. These are the 10 drivers provisionally on the verge of making Q3. I've been hearing rumours that Frederic Vasseur is on the verge of being sacked at Ferrari, but it's also official that Yuki Tsunoda will be given a 10-place grid penalty, which means he'll probably start last. And the way he's driving, it looks like he'll be starting on the back row with his old friend Pierre Gasly. Just saying, his previous lap was a 1 minute 11.644, only 6,000 slower than his provisional fastest lap. Tsunoda's up to 7th, but of course he'll be giving a 10-place grid penalty, so, well, even if he makes Q3, it's all going to be for nothing anyway. And, well, okay, it's not going to be for nothing, but, well, he's going to start 10 places lower than where he will qualify, but he's nearly 7 tenths slower than Max, which is, well, that feels like a century in F1 terms. Mind you, the sport has only existed for like 75 years, so God, Alonso could be heading for Q3 at this rate. Looks like Alonso is back on form, everyone. Oh, Antonelli up to 8th. Tsunoda 9th. Behrman 10th. Behrman is flying in the horse. Pinto heading for the drop zone. Albon. Don't know what's going on with Williams this weekend. The broken engine flap, and of course, Sainz being slower than a turtle. Looks like Carlos Sainz is more busy recouping that endorsement money that he's getting from L'Oreal and Hackett Clothing, because, I mean, if he carries on driving like this, he will not be receiving a annual salary from motor racing. Because honestly, Carlos Sainz Jr. has not been impressive at all this season. Really not. Hamilton outpaces his teammate, and he's ahead of him by just over 3/10 of a second, 300ths of a second. Leclerc's gone fastest. Leclerc with a 1:11.6.6. Insane lap time by the Monegasque driver. Hamilton, once again, being left in the dust. That's what life is like when you hit the big 40. Norris and Piastri, they were absolutely correct when they said their car was struggling this weekend, and it looks like we might get a different team winning. Could it be a Ferrari? I hope so, because I want to see a bit of variety and spice in the field. Tsunoda in 10th place. Tsunoda's going to get, well, Tsunoda will make Q3, but he won't start in the top 10. Everyone's parked up in the pits for now, but of course they'll be coming out with just 3.5 minutes remaining. Albon using those mediums to good effect. Colin Pinto obviously trying to get a lap done on mediums, but truth be told, I don't think the Alpine has got enough horsepower and grunt from that Renault engine for this track. And I have to say, Colin Pinto, I mean, obviously this is the last year of the Alpine Renault partnership, and of course next season Alpine will be switching to Mercedes power units, so enjoy seeing that Renault badge on Alpine until it lasts, because of course come the end of this year Renault will not be in F1 as an engine manufacturer, that is. I think they will continue to run the team, but they will not be building engines for themselves anymore. And of course, as we all know, they fired Ollie Yokes earlier on a couple of months ago, so with Flavio Briatore working as its provisional team principal for now. Russell is 6th, Albon 7th, Alonso 8th, Antonelli 9th. So the Colin Pinto's now risen up to 10th place, and Tsunoda will be starting at the back of the grid, to be honest. Just 120 seconds remaining. These are the top 10 that will be making it to Q3 of currently in Q2, for those of you wondering. This is not to set the grid, but it will determine the 10 drivers that will compete in the final qualifying session at Q3, as the guys in 11th to 15th place will drop out, and that's provisionally Tsunoda, Behrman, Hajar, Ocon, and Hulkenberg. Those 5 drivers better get a move on, and of course Tsunoda's probably going to start at the back with his 10th place grid penalty, so I suppose the other 4 will be under pressure to do something, but Hulkenberg is stuck in a Sauber, so who knows what their plans are. And of course, last time out in Spain, Hulkenberg finished 5th because he had more soft and medium tyres available to him, whilst everyone else had already used up their tyres, so he was able to fly past people around Barcelona, and of course do that late overtake on Lewis Hamilton. Russell goes quickest. Won last year's pole sitter. It's now gone 4 times faster than his pole lap, and it's only Q2. Now that's McLaren down to 4th and 5th. This is very concerning for the boys from Woking. The Papaya boys are not even going to make the first row, let alone P3, if this continues. Antonelli up to 8th. Albon's up to 7th. Tsunoda's back up to 10th, but he's, well, once again, 10th place grid penalty. Colin Pinto has swapped positions with him, with a Japanese driver, as of course the Argentine driver looks like he will out-qualify Gasly for the first time in his Alpine career. Tsunoda's back up to 10th. And Alonso's up to 10th. Hajar 9th. Hajar's up to 9th. Wow, we've got a lot of change of positions. Hajar's back down to 10th. Alonso's in 6th. Norris goes 2nd. Brilliant lap by Norris there. Only less than 300 slower than Russell. Incredible lap times. And of course, qualifying has been, that should be it for qualifying. Those are your 5 drivers out of the session. Tsunoda will start at the back of the grid then. 12th, Colapinto out qualifying Gasly for the first time in his Alpine career. Hulkenberg 30th, great effort, jumping the two horses. Once again, only 6 tenths slower than Russell, by the way. Seriously quick lap by the German veteran who still has no podiums in almost 200 starts of F1. And of course, Alonso setting his fastest lap on a set of medium tyres. So this is going to be the top 10 drivers who have made it to Q3. And of course, Tsunoda went down Q2, so he'll be sent straight to the back of the grid because of his 10-place grid penalty for an infringement for disobeying a red flag in free practice. Apparently, Yuki Tsunoda is angry because he feels like he was impeded in the pit lane, but oh yeah, because he disobeyed a red flag in free practice, from what I saw. Okay, Kubica is leading the Le Mans 24 hours with Yi Fei's a teammate. That's some. I mean, Yi Fei. I've been saying it. He should have had a seat in F1, not Zhou Guan Yu. Paddock 69 does it? Don't know who the hell Paddock 69 is. Yeah, mate. If you're talking about the Club World Cup, yeah, that's your first strike, mate. And I will say, if you mention the Club World Cup again in the chat, that's 2 strikes. So you better be careful, folks, because if you mention the Club World Cup again, that's a 1-minute timeout. Not that it'll make a difference because you don't exactly comment in the chat that much anyway, but Mercedes. Do Mercedes have a hypercar in Le Mans? I don't know. I have no idea. Ferrari, oh dear. 1, 2, 3, first, second, and third in Le Mans. That is insane pace. Oh, right, no. Mercedes. Oh, yeah, Mercedes don't have a hypercar, but they are planning to make one in a few years' time, I think. I keep getting it muddled up, but thank you for 2 likes here at Crystal Racing. Oh, yeah, speaking of F1, yes. And of course, Q3 will begin in a few minutes, in a couple of minutes' time, with the people who have been kicked out from Q1 and Q2. Tsunoda, Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Behrman, Ocon, Bottas, Sainz, Lawson, and Gasly. Just so you know, Tsunoda will be heading to the back of the grid. So that's Colapinto and Hulkenberg on row 6. The 2 horses, Behrman and Ocon on row 7. Bottas and Sainz on row 8. Stroll and Lawson on row 9. And Gasly and Tsunoda on row 10 at the back row of the grid. Gasly, my God, I mean, is this the first time he's ever qualified last? Or I don't know, but Gasly does have a bad habit of absolutely flunking qualifying sessions in a really bad way, and it does make me very concerned how inconsistent he can be. Just so you know, if you talk about the Club World Cup twice in the chat, that's a 1-minute timeout, and if you speak about it 3 times, that's a 5-minute timeout, because of course I see the Club World Cup as being haramble by FIFA. So with players dropping out like flies, careers on the line, just so that, you know, the big clubs can make a bit more, so that the big clubs can make more dosh and gain advantage on their rivals in their continental competitions. I just don't see it as fair play, I'm afraid. And of course, qualifying will begin in 2 minutes' time. Of course, news that Frederick Leclerc could be getting sacked by Ferrari. Lance Stroll's return needs more questions and answers, as he was reluctant to answer media questions over why he boycotted the Spanish Grand Prix race despite having competed in qualifying. which meant that Felipe Drugovich could not compete in the race. Well done, Lance. Well done, Lance. Such an amazing team player you are. If you were uncertain what I meant, I was being sarcastic, but looks like a lot of drivers are fancying their chances on using the medium compounds. From what I see, it looks like it was Alpine and Antonelli and Russell also used mediums. Because for some reason, these soft tyres are an absolute pickle to deal with in F1 right now. I don't know why. They just wear off too quickly, and they don't give enough pace compared to what the mediums can offer, which is strange. But once again, Hadjar makes it to Q3, which is quite a result. I mean, the kid has been remarkably quick since it's the start of his F1 career, and I have to say, I do wonder. I mean, obviously, people don't want him in a Red Bull, but frankly, I mean, Tsunoda just doesn't look like he has it. He has that fundamental pace, so it's a tricky situation Red Bull in, but they can only really blame themselves for the fact they can never get hold of make a decent car for their second driver. And of course, obviously, Verstappen doesn't like the fact the car is very tricky to drive on the edge, but it's almost like when Benetton had Michael Schumacher, in that they had a quick car, but it was tricky to drive. So the likes of Jos Verstappen, Ricciardo Patrese, Johnny Herbert just couldn't get a grip on the car, and JJ Leto in addition. Plenty of decent drivers struggling with what Benetton had to offer. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. I did say this. I don't want to do it, but I did warn you, mate. I did warn you, mate. It's a 1 minute timeout. Sorry. Sorry about it. I don't know what you said. Anyway, yes, qualifying has begun for Q3. Everyone, the McLarens and Leclerc into the track, so as Verstappen and co. Why do you think Horner will end up at Ferrari? That's strange. That makes no sense. Like, how's Horner gonna fit in at? But Maranello, I really want you to try and explain that, because that makes no sense in any regard. Like, that's so weird. But oh, that's just weird. Anyway, I think Say's timeout has already ended, so yeah, that's how serious I am about this Club World Cup, Millock. No, look, I just look. Anyway, the drivers are on track. Oh, look, folks, I feel like I would rather start snorting coke than watch the Club World Cup. In fact, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go and watch the England under-19s and the under-21s play football next week. In fact, I might do a live stream for the under-21s when England play Slovenia tomorrow before the race. And Of course, as we all know, England have just completed their first game of the under-19s, where they drew 2-2 against, guess who? That country that they got a 2-2 draw against has a red flag with a blue stripe down the middle. Of course, it's Norway. I can never get away from Norway. It's like Norway. I never had any interest in Norway. Norway is an interest in me. But yeah, seriously. Obviously, Mikey Moore, Tottenham, played for the England under 29, under 19s. I nearly said under 21s, but he was playing with Ethan Veneri with the under 17s last year. I saw them play together, but yet Veneri has been rated as the greater talent for now, so he's gone to the under 21s. And Verstappen, 11.25. What a lap by the holographic Charizard again. But no, as my God, he's absolutely he's gone ahead of Piastri by just 0.025 seconds. Yeah, Leclerc goes third. Where's Norris? What's going on with Norris? Norris is struggling for pace. Oh dear, Norris has got problems. What the hell? How has Norris only done a 12.3? That's just, oh dear, what a mess. But Piastri, the championship leader, is in third place. Second place, I beg your pardon. Alonso in the second row. Alonso, has he been? Someone needs to do a drugs test on Fernando Alonso. There's no way he can be this quick at nearly 44 years old. Anyway, I think, Alonso's just over half a second, so in the Verstappen, but what an impressive lap time he did in Aston Martin. Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso is basically the driver that Papa Stroll wishes Lance was, to be honest. Albon 9th. Norris 10th. What's going on with Lando Norris? What's going on? Oh, we've got a Mercedes second row, everyone. Yep, you gotta get. Ferrari have done a lot of dodgy stuff. Well, dude, they get historical payments for being Ferrari, so what do you expect? But oh no, Albon's had his lap time deleted, and now Norris has gone up to 5th, but he's still nearly 4/10 slower than Maxi Tampon. Bring back V10s, yes, bring back V10s, and I'm not sure about Bottas. People saying we were harsh with Perez are talking nonsense, according to Will. He had only 9 podiums. Yeah, but you gotta realise the second Red Bull is a difficult car to drive. I'm pretty sure Red Bull have had conversations with Russell and Leclerc about becoming Max's teammate, because deep down they don't want Max to be running the team, and they don't like having Jos Verstappen around, but it is what it is. They're forced to go to their academy for help. Not that the academy is bringing much help, because until Alvin Lindblad makes a step into F1 and Isaac Hadjar can go up to the next gear, the next level, then they really are in a bad spot with Tsunoda. Perez still rumoured to be going to Cadillac, who of course took pole position at Le Mans, but of course Ferrari quickly flew past them, all 3 Ferraris, and they're nowhere near in contention for the 24 Le Mans hours victory. That's a shame. I don't know what you said, was it? All I'm gonna say is that I just don't know. I don't really. All I'm gonna say is this about the Club World Cup. It is revamped version of the Super League with Saudi Arabia money being pumped into it. And of course, Jesus Christ, it's going to cause all sorts of problems in the future. Anyway, Leclerc, I will do a video. You know where I stand with City in our supporting a thing that should be named? Okay, fair enough. I think I'm going to have to do a video explaining my position on the Club World Cup so you really understand where I actually stand on it. And I will allow everyone to comment on it. Once we've done that video, then we can go, then I'll go back to like treating well, I'll be like, yeah, let's not go back to the Club World Cup again. Because I think, yeah, but we have 3 minutes to go, folks. We've not seen any improvements in lap times, but that's because I was waiting for the final runs. Alonso goes up to 5th. And Antonelli's been overtaken as well, and Hamilton's got up to 4th. Bloody hell, what's going on with Leclerc? Looks like Hamilton's having a good weekend for once. Got less than 2 minutes remaining, so Leclerc better get a move on. Norris better get a move on. What's he doing down in 7th place, eh? What's that all about? What's this funny stuff with Norris again? Russell 3rd, Hamilton 4th, Alonso 5th, Antonelli back up to 6th. Why is Norris in 7th, though? What's he doing? Like, by the way, there's only like just under 4/10 of a second that separate Verstappen and Norris. Leclerc's struggling, though. What is Leclerc doing? There's people saying that Verstappen's getting pole. I mean, I'm sort of surprised. I mean, the guy has found an insane amount of speed out to fit in yet again. Leclerc bottled his qualifying lap. Oh dear, not a good lap by Shalala, who set the purple sector 1, but the purple sector 1 of a 19.7, but. And of course, I think he was distracted when he saw the back end, the rear end of Hajar's RB. Oh dear. Oh, Piastri goes quickest. 11.12. But of course, that is still about half a second slower than Vettel's lap time in pole lap in 2019, mind you. Oh, Verstappen retakes pole position with 3 seconds to go. Oh, it's Russell. Last year's pole sitter, Russell. 10.9 on medium compounds. Antonelli up to 4th. It's all happening. And Norris still remains 7th. Alonso 6th. Insane. Insane. Just trading positions like there's no tomorrow, like a pair of NASCARs rubbing paint at Talladega. It's just like the F1 Academy race where there were like multiple cars fighting for the lead, crossing the line together. Russell, so quick, out of nowhere. Mercedes could be looking at getting their first pole position of the season. Albon 10th. It's all gone wrong for Albon, but he's probably done a good job to get to Q3 after losing his engine cover in Q1. Zhou 9th. Another impressive performance by the young Frenchman. Leclerc down in 8th. That's poor. 7th is Norris, who last lap was an 11.9. Norris has really crapped his pants this weekend, and he's gone 7 tenths slower than Russell. That's a horrible lap by Norris. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Christ, what a qualified lap. First, it looked like Piastri, then it looked like Verstappen, and then Russell grabbed it before they rang the bell. Insane qualifying session, everybody. I think we all enjoyed that a lot. Oh, NASCAR is heading to Mexico this weekend. Oh, Say will be in tears. Not really. I think Say's pretty much. But I have to say, Norris will be very, very angry with himself, getting out qualified by an Aston Martin. An Aston Martin driver who's only scored 2 measly points this weekend, 2 of which came at his home Grand Prix a fortnight ago. Hamilton is the world's greatest, like somebody I cannot name for obvious reason. I don't know, what do you mean by that? Say Hamilton is the world's greatest. That Lionel Messi? I mean, you can mention Lionel Messi, but that doesn't. I mean, you're not mentioning the result of a game at that Harambe Cup. Okay, Lando Norris is never winning a world championship. Yeah, I think it's becoming a bit obvious now, I'm afraid. Back to being Oscar's punching bag again. Oh, yeah, well, at least Oscar Piastri has a punching bag. Arsenal don't have a punching bag anymore because Tottenham won the Europa League. Yet more proof McLaren need better drivers. Piastri's doing well. Unfortunately, I think Norris is the one who looks like he could be getting his P45 very soon. I mean, at this rate, he'll be dreaming of getting P7s because next thing you'll know, he'll be getting a P45. And, Leclerc is rumoured to be looking for a new drive, according to Chazza HD, if you believe his words. McLaren's hypercar looks ugly as F. Oh, well, that's a shame. Well, I don't know. Did I see the hypercar on a previous stream? Maybe. I think you're being a bit harsh on Piastri and Norris because McLaren was struggling in yesterday's practice sessions. And, I mean, this is a bit of a weird track, you have to realise. It's like, it's a circuit that can be bumpy. It's got a lot of heavy braking zones. It has a lot of 90-degree corners because it's a street track. It's not the easiest to drive on. They revealed today. Oh, they revealed a hypercar today. Okay, I didn't see it, but maybe I could have a look at it. And of course, for those of you wondering who the Bob Tennis, Tsunoda will start last, so it'll be Colin Pinto 11th, Hulkenberg 12th, 13th Behrman, 14th Ocon, 15th Bottas, 16th Sainz, 17th Stroll, 18th Lawson, 19th Gasly, and 20th Tsunoda, because Tsunoda has a 10-place grid penalty for disobeying the red flag regulations in a free practice sessions, which I presume he was probably speeding. When you think about it, yeah, but some drivers are better at extracting more out of their cars than others. Although to be fair though, whenever I listen to Fernando Alonso fans, I do sometimes get that Arsenal fan TV vibe of them. Norris contract will end next year or 27, but of course we all know that contracts don't necessarily are not necessarily worth the paper they're written on, and it has to be said, I honestly think if Norris carries on driving like this for the next 18 months, I don't think he'll be there after 2026 because, to be honest, there surely has got to be better drivers than Norris. That is the Bob 10, of course, Tsunoda, just a big asterisk next to his name. Take his name right down to the bottom of to 20th place and move everyone up one position in the top Bob 10 between 12th and 20th. This is the qualifying order. Russell goes over a second faster than his qualifying lap. Well, I mean, if Leclerc wants to leave Ferrari, they can always get him. Ferrari have a chance to start fresh and anew for 2027 with presumably Oli Behrman and maybe one of Esteban Ocon or Pierre Gasly in their two seats. I don't know, for all we know, Haas are basically prepping Behrman and Ocon for Ferrari in 2 years' time. Yep, getting out qualified by Aston Martin's number 2 driver, the 43-year-old rookie, Federico Andreas. Yep, what a lap by the 43-year-old Federicas Andreas. Oh my god, sorry. I don't know, is there such name as Federicas? Did I just pick it? Horses Dortmund. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Dortmund are better than Horse, surely. Or oh no, are you comparing Horse to are you comparing Borussia Dortmund to Horse's NASCAR team? That's surely you must be comparing them to, not Horse's F1 team, because I mean Dortmund are way more successful than the F1 Horse team, but the Horse NASCAR team is pretty decent from what I've heard. Oh yeah, they get their drivers getting poached and their players getting poached all the time. Fair enough, yeah, I know what you mean now. But let's look at the McLaren hypercar, shall we? I wonder what's been going on. So takes pole position. Let's see the pictures of what on earth this monstrosity. Oh my god! Oh, ew! You are absolutely correct. Oh no! Oh no! What have you done? What have they done at Woking? I thought they were big on presentation and professionalism. That looks like some piece of slime from a local toxic waste plant. What the hell was that gonna scheme? And what's that body design? By the way, Lance Stroll looks like a 1980s police officer with that haircut. Oh no, what is that paint scheme? That looks hideous. Why have they painted it like that? That's hideous. You better be quick because otherwise, Delora designed it. Oh yeah, Delora always getting their grubby hands on everything. And United Autosports, wait, doesn't United Airlines in America run the United Autosports team? Because I've got to say, the United logo looks very similar to the airline company's name. Oh my god, I don't want to see Lance Stroll ever again, to be honest. He is like the cat with 900 lives. It's just camo, okay, fair enough. Okay, fair enough, but is McLaren is scheduled to start his testing next year. and it will make its debut in 2027. Ferrari, Porsche, Toyota, and Aston Martin. Wow, looks like the modern hypercar series is really now beginning to upstage F1. Oh, Zach. Okay, no really. Oh, right. Are the airline company sponsors of United Autosport? Are they just Okay, fair enough. Oh, yeah, I forgot Zach Brown runs United Autosport, but don't know. That kind of made my eyes jump out. I've got to say it though. Like when you design a headlight lamps like that does make the car look quite ugly. Even if they painted it a solid bright orange color, I mean the headlamps completely ruin it for me because I think the key to making a car look pretty is the headlamp design, and of course, if the headlamps are terrible, hideous, then it ruins the look of the car altogether. It's like the eyes of the car. It's like the eyes that you see. Like if you've got a pair of, if you see a person and their eyelids have got like a negative candle lit to them, then it's I don't know. It's a bit unfortunate, and that's why that the headlamps kind of give me that sort of vibe that what are they doing with those? I mean, I suppose sometimes you might design a pair of headlights like that in order to, I don't know, minimize the amount of electricity required to run the headlamps. It is an abomination of Cadillac, Peugeot, and Porsche Frankenstein. That's one way of putting it, John. I think I'm gonna have to do a special video about the Club World Cup, maybe tomorrow morning, where I really get my thoughts clear. Talk about the amount of money being used and talk about how it could genuinely damage the entire world of football and make it even more lopsided than it already is. As well as, of course, things like FFP and PSR, which, even though they sound good on paper, it's actually causing quite real problems in of itself. So, and I think by the end of the video, I think I might help you get a bit closer to understanding why I do not want to be talking or even doing any sort of video reviews of the Club World Cup because of what I think of it. Yeah, FFP, I mean, I've got a few questions with it myself. Which, I mean, that's another problem in itself because, of course, the Club World Cup means extra revenue to certain teams over other clubs who will not be getting that Club World Cup money for not competing in it. Because, of course, FFP works on the premise that you can only spend the same amount of money as you make in terms of profit. So the expenditure must not exceed your profit, which is a bit of a always questionable. It's always got a bit of a grey area to it, but this is your top 10 for Canadian Grand Prix qualifying. Russell on pole, Verstappen second, Piastri third, Antonelli fourth, Hamilton. You could say that's an impressive fifth, but he's 6 tenths slower than Russell. Alonso sixth. That's an impressive lap, and he did it on mediums. I mean, the medium compounds have really proved handy recently. And okay, fair enough. I mean, I think it's not just the European clubs; it's more what's in the clubs around the world, which you could really. I think that's where the problem's going to lie. It's the clubs in North America, Africa, and Asia where things could get really badly wrong with this Club World Cup with the mud prize money they're going to get. But that's another story for another day. But uh, no, I mean I don't want to sound like I'm being a scab or anything, but it's like I want my chat to not go off. I don't want my chat to be going off topic as dramatically as it sometimes has been, and I think all I'm going to say is that I don't even know half of the teams at the Club World Cup, so it's just like, I don't even know what you're talking about, what angle I can really look at it from, and it's just, yeah, sorry. But McLaren, I've got to say, I think McLaren, Zach Brown, Piastri, and Norris were correct when they said that their car doesn't really work that well around Montreal compared to other tracks. It's a street circuit. There's a lot of 90-degree corners, heavy braking zones, and I kind of think the drag slash downforce balance is just not. It's just not working for McLaren around here because I think having a car with a lot of mechanical grip is also beneficial around Montreal compared to other tracks. Gotta say, this Club World Cup thing has really confused me, but it would be a miracle if Oscar wins tomorrow. Yeah, well, I mean, McLaren, both Piastri and Norris are well clear in the driver's title. Piastri's 49 points ahead of Verstappen, so I don't think it'll be a disaster if they only finish, let's say, third and fourth tomorrow, because, I mean, and Russell and Verstappen are going to be starting alongside each other, which, of course, we all know what happened to them last time out, a fortnight ago in Catalonia, where, of course, both of them collided, and I think with Verstappen's hot temper, anything can happen tomorrow, so I think if I see Russell and Verstappen suddenly drop down the order on the first lap, on a track map, that is, I think I will know exactly what happened, that both of them probably collided with them, and I think there'll be no questions asked about what happened, because 5th and 8th, oh yeah, that's Ferrari, I'll take that, given Ferrari's recent form in Canada, and of course, yeah, Ferrari, or I'm trying to think of Ferrari. Oh yeah, Ferrari have just jumped. Didn't they just jump ahead of Red Bull in the constructors last time out for third place? I mean, Tsunoda, as we all know, is going to be starting at the back. So is he going to get points? I don't even think so. He's really struggling, and I have to say, to be honest, I think honestly, this could be the last time we see, like, this could well be Tsunoda's last season as an F1 driver, because I think the amount of damage he's doing to his reputation is going to be far too substantial for him to recover from if he ever does get a chance to drive for any team in F1 next season or beyond that. He's now 25 years old. He's in the 5th year of F1. He probably should be doing a bit bad, despite the fact he's been thrown at the last. Was it? He only started driving the Red Bull car for the first time at Suzuka. He didn't get a pre-season, but even so, even without pre-season, but we have to remember, of course, he has been driving for Alpine for the past 4 years, so he should know a few things about the Red Bull senior team and the way they designed the cars and set it up. Lawrence's hand, yeah, but that's Aston Martin we're talking about. I mean, where are Aston Martin? Are they like? I mean, they're definitely not in the top 5. Like, I mean, they're basically only in a fight for 6th place in the constructors, and I think they've already risen up to like 8th place, thanks to Alonso getting 2 points, because they're on 16 points, and of course Alpine have dropped to last place with just 11 points. Gone too soon. Oh, say you really do have your wacko. Wacko. Oh no. But you know, even though, yes, there were some pretty dodgy allegations about Michael Jackson, it is pretty telling that the jury at the court could never actually prove his guilt over what was alleged in regards to minors, which is surprising, and the fact that the family of the minors were found to be unreliable witnesses. So who knows what really happened in Michael Jackson's short life. But, you know, I mean, he ended up living in Bahrain in the last 2 years of his life, which should tell you how bad things got. I expected more from Williams at a track like this. Yes, absolutely. Sainz is horribly, dreadfully out of form. He's qualified 17th and he'll start 16th thanks to Tsunoda's penalty. Albon only get 10th. I don't know what's going on. Albon bottled a chance of qualifying higher at Monaco, which was surprising because Monaco, I think, is traditionally has been Williams' worst track of the F1 calendar for basically now probably the last 14 years, because the last time they ran well at Monaco was 2011 when he had Pastor Maldonado competing for 6th place before he got tagged by Lewis Hamilton. And of course, when they got Mercedes engines with the new hybrid regulations, they trimmed the car out, reduced downforce, made it as slippery in a straight line as possible. So Monaco then became a bogey track for them. But having said that, there's still, I mean, for me, there still should be quick enough at these power tracks. But I think Williams have now kind of begun to increase the downforce in their car. Because I know in 2018 and 19 they tried to increase downforce, but then the experiments of trying to increase downforce went wrong, so they went back to trimming the car out for the 2020 car and beyond that. But of course, Albon should be where Alonso is. I kind of got to agree. And once again, Alonso suddenly picks his form up just as people begin to doubt him. It's a really funny one, Alex Albon. Alex Albon, just as you expect him to do well, he does badly, and then when you sit there and think he's finished, he starts doing well again. But he's very lucky that he's at a team like Williams who have a fair amount of patience with him. Although, of course, nowhere near as much patience as Aston Martin do with Stroll. I know, Alonso must be pretty good, but yeah, he only has 2 championships to his name, and that's now 22, is that 22 races? I swear it must be like 24 consecutive races Alonso has now beaten Lancelot in qualifying. Honda will probably force Papa Stroll to get... I don't know anymore. I don't know, because Yuki's performances for Red Bull is probably damaging his case to win a Aston Martin seat. Oh, okay. So Silverstone last season was the last time Stroll out-qualified Alonso, discounting sprint events yet. Yeah, well, every world champion has a Hall of Fame page on the F1 website, so yeah. But the thing is, though, even if a driver doesn't win a driver's title, I mean, they can always sit there and say they did a good job if their team wins the constructors' title. But of course, Fernando Alonso has not won a constructors' title since 2006, which of course was also the last time he won a driver's title. Turns out, of course, Kimi Räikkönen, who has been heavily criticised over the past decade, despite having a poor 2008 season, won the 2008 Constructors with Ferrari. So Kimi Räikkönen's most recent Constructors title win is still more recent than Alonso's Constructors title win. Obviously, Kimi's driver's title is also slightly more recent, having done it in 2007, but I mean, it's a funny one. But of course, we have to remember Red Bull between 2010 and 2013 had a very dominant car. And of course, I think, what was it? Verstappen, on the other hand, became the first driver since Lewis Hamilton to win driver's title in both 21 and 24, with his team losing the constructors title in both seasons, with of course Red Bull coming second in 21 and Red Bull coming third last season in the team standings. Of course, McLaren finished second in 2008. So And yet Alonso, for all his greatness, never quite achieved anything quite remarkable in a driver's title race, I'm afraid. Of course, he could have, I mean, obviously, we all get reminded he was 7 points away from becoming a five-time champion, but you know, you also need a bit of luck. You also need your team to produce a good car. You also need to be fairly good at choosing the right teams to compete for, which is, I mean, it kind of sound. I mean, his career path almost seems a bit similar to Jacques Villeneuve, and of course, a certain Mr. Smiley, honey badger from Australia. But that's, oh my god. Anyway, Kimi is the second. Well, there's only been two Ferrari champions in the 21st century, of course. Yeah. How do I think tomorrow's race will go? I think if Russell could get to the first corner in the lead, I think we're going to see Russell hold the pack up for the first 10 to 15 laps, unless Verstappen can find a way of navigating an overtake on him early on, which is going to be fun to see. Piastri will be waiting like an owl with his eyes closed, and then pouncing past him at the last second if one or two of them hit each other or push each other off the road. Norris is going to have his work cut out overtaking those three cars in front of him. Alonso, we all know, can be one hell of a dip and a hell of a roadblock when he wants to be. So Norris better get an excellent start tomorrow with, of course, Hamilton also going to be in the way. And, of course, then he's got a rookie in Antonelli to overtake as well. And, of course, I think a lot of drivers will be starting on medium tyres. And I think everyone will try and max out their stint on medium tyres and then probably do the last stint on hard tyres with, of course, the soft tyres nowhere to be seen. I'm sorry, I just have to say it. I'm sorry, like, I'm being brutal. Like, Fernando Alonso fans are beginning to honestly sound very similar to a red club from North London who happened to be nicknamed the Gunners, or the Gooners, as their critics like to slag them off as. Like, oh, we finished second, and we finished second in here, we finished second again. It's like, oh my goodness me, man. Like, yeah, but did you win a trophy? No, you didn't. Pull up or shut up. Pull up or shut up. Like, oh god. Like, you know, you can talk about how good Alonso was in 2023, but he picked up, like, what, 7 second place trophies, and arguably bottled a chance to win Monaco that year because he pitted too late. Trust the process. Yes, trust the process, as Hartata would say, or as Yordman would yell, Hartata halt! Hartata halt! But I'm being brutal. Like, come on, man. Like, it's just, yeah, he's the king of, Alonso has become more renowned for finishing second. Like, I think he has more second place finishes in his F1 career than Kimi Räikkönen has, who, of course, Kimi Räikkönen was also renowned for finishing second quite an awful lot in his career. Okay, thank you for correcting me. That, yeah, it was 8 podiums in 2023. That's, sorry, I misspoke. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think Alonso was the second best driver on the grid in 2023, and I actually still thought he was one of the top 3 drivers last season. But whilst he's had a bit of bad luck this season, I think he's kind of dropped off a fair bit now. And I think, you know, if I was to do my top 10, Piastri, I think, narrowly has been the best driver, just ahead of Verstappen. Third, I think I would give it to George Russell. Yeah, I think Alonso should try and get the Indy 500. Like, the Indy 500 is the last thing, the last trophy that's missing from his trophy cabinet. It's just, I just find this whole discussion of Fernando Alonso to be so dull and ridiculous. I know there was an F1 Twitter account called F1 Head Darassery who's categorically stated that Fernando Alonso is a top 5 all-time great in Formula One. I'm not kidding. Is he really one of the 5 greatest drivers? Because, I've got Hamilton, Senna, Schumacher, Fangio, Prost, Jim Clark, and maybe the likes of Niki Lauda and Jackie Stewart ahead of him. And then you get a driver like Jack Brabham, the Australian guy who won in 59, 60, and 66, and of course remains the last driver to win a championship in his 40s. He won 3 championships, and he also became the first and only driver to win a championship in his own maker car, obviously calling it Brabham. But in most of the other seasons, he failed to win a championship. He was beaten by most of his teammates throughout his career, including 1967, where he lost the championship to his teammate Denny Hulme. But you've got to realise, this is the thing with Jack Brabham, is that even though he got beat by most of his teammates like Bruce McLaren and many other names like Jochen Rindt, no one actually remembers the fact that he could be quite average outside of his championship winning years. If Alonso wants to do insurance triple crown, he only needs 12 hours of Sebring. Okay, he's got 24 hours of Le Mans. Did he win 24 hours of Daytona? Or I don't know. I don't know what the other leg of the triple crown of endurance racing is. Please correct me in the comments. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Say he's only 12th at best, to be honest. I think putting him 12th is a fair judgment of Alonso. Very good driver, very super consistent, like a faster version of Jenson Button. Yeah. Yeah, but Brabham has 3 world championships, and he won a championship in his own manufacturer of car, which was called a Brabham Repco. Of course, it was even more remarkable in that he did it in the year when they brought back the 3-litre engine cars, where of course Ford Cosworth with their DFV V8 engine appeared on the scene, and yet he managed to beat. Okay, I know Ford Cosworth DFV only appeared in 1967, but of course, in the hands of his second driver Denny Hulme, they won the championship again, back to back in 66 and 67, back to back drivers' titles and back to back constructors' titles, and of course that's the other thing. Count back. Okay, sorry, I'm getting a bit confused. Okay, so Alonso lost the championship by 4 points in 2010, 3 in 12, and 1 in 07. Alonso might be the first to do 2 triple crowns. Oh my, that would be one. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, I don't know why Fernando Alonso is so determined to continue racing in Formula One. It's like, Sebring, Indianapolis are still up for grabs. Like, you could really pad out that CV in a way that's not been done since probably, Juan Pablo Montoya, Mario Andretti, Graham Hill. You get to be remembered as an all-rounder in motorsports, but I think he lost the attention. He lost the speed of F1. I think he definitely lost the salary he gets paid for driving for Aston Martin. I think he still gets paid like £6 million, or was it 9 million US dollars a year? Is it 7 million euros a year? I mean, it's still a pretty nice salary, although it's still nowhere near as much as the 40 million pound contract he got paid at McLaren almost a decade ago, which is like 50 million US dollars or whatever it is. Oh yeah, Vettel won 4 championships. Yeah, obviously. I rank Vettel around the same place as Alonso, but it has to be said though, kind of a bit like Jack Brabham, Sebastian Vettel's lack of consistency throughout his career does downgrade him slightly, even though he's still, even though of course he has 53 race wins to his name, and of course, but it has to be said, his performances at Ferrari and then subsequently Aston Martin did kind of damage his reputation somewhat, I'm afraid. Great person, great team player, but maybe not the greatest all-round talent, I'm afraid. Yeah, you are correct, John. But I mean, this is the thing, like in the F1 hierarchy, I mean, Fernando Alonso really does feel like he's Arsenal Football Club if he was a racing driver. And his fans keep coming out with these statistics. Oh, we outqualified all his teammates. He was always, so consistent in his scoring points, like 90% of the time, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's like, yeah, but dude, he only has 2 drivers' championships and 2 constructors' championships, and they were all achieved with Renault back in 05 and 06. Like, I'm trying to think, like, Norris, Piastri won a constructors' title last season. Hamilton achieved 7 drivers' titles and 8 constructors' championships in his career. By the way, I think Michael Schumacher, obviously not Ralph. Michael has 7 drivers' championships and he has 7 constructors' titles because, of course, 94 he lost the constructors to Williams because, of course, Hill, Mansell, and Coulthard scored more points than Schumacher did with Jos Verstappen and JJ Leto and Herbert as his teammates. But he did win the 1999 constructors' title with Ferrari when, of course, Mika Salo replaced him for 6 races with Eddie Irvine being Ferrari's number 4-time driver for the season. But of course, they outscored McLaren by 4 points due to the fact that Coulthard had horrible reliability issues. Basically, alone needs to do 2 things to be considered motorsport great, winning the 500 and the Sebring. That would be it. I think obviously Alonso has to be considered a motorsport great already, but winning the 500 and the 12 hours of Sebring would be the icing on the cake. I know it's a very strange argument I might be coming out with, Will, but I don't know. Obviously, in order to win the constructors, you need your team to do their job, and you need your teammate to be scoring points regularly. I know it's not the primary focus of a driver to ensure their teams win the constructors title because that's their team's concern, not the drivers. But I mean, if we're talking like just raw trophy totals alone, then Lewis Hamilton actually comes out on top because he has 7 drivers titles and 8 constructors titles because Mercedes won 8 consecutive constructors titles from 14 all the way down to 21, including the season when, of course, Hamilton lost to Max Verstappen in the final race at Abu Dhabi in controversial circumstances. But okay. I'm taking it. Okay, fair enough, Will. Fair enough. Yeah, but um. I mean, this is a thing. Alonso is a very impressive individual driver, but I always sit there and wonder why on earth his relationships with his teams went the way it did. And it just feels like, did he go and constantly bargain favors on his own behalf at the expense of his teammate, meaning that he had a car that was more suited to his driving style, whilst his teammates suffered horribly, particularly Felipe Massa. I mean, Felipe Massa almost became useless at times during between 2010 and 13. I have to say, I really do wonder what on earth was going on with Massa and Ferrari. Schumacher crashing his way to the 1994 championship, yeah, always leaves a bitter taste in a lot of fans' mouth, and justifiably so. Uh, um, God, what else was I going to say? Thank you for 4 likes here at Crystal Racing. Of course, was an idea I could rename my channel Crystal Rams because I'm a Derby County fan and I would like to do. Oh, that's an interesting take. Four consecutive titles at age 26 is top 10 material according to Will F1. That's a real interesting one there. Maybe you could consider Vettel to be better than someone like Sterling Moss. It's a really hard one because, on pure numbers alone, Sebastian Vettel, I think, is statistically the fifth greatest driver, I think, because, you got Hamilton, Schumacher, Fangio, who has 5 drivers' titles, and of course Max Verstappen, who has already got 4 titles and 66 race wins already. So on numbers alone, Vettel is actually a top 5 driver, but his performance at Ferrari and to some extent Aston Martin really did sully his reputation somewhat, I'm afraid. Who the hell thought Hill was at fault for Adelaide? That's just silly. Like, okay, fair enough. Schumacher was still probably the better driver over 1994, but even though it was very hard to sit there and categorically prove that Schumacher deliberately took Damon Hill out at Adelaide, but we have to realise if that was Ayrton Senna sitting in that Williams instead of losing his life at Imola, then I think Schumacher would have been disqualified because I think Ayrton Senna would have absolutely gone out of his way to demand Schumacher's disqualification from the championship. Yeah, but no, because what's it? 7 titles for Hamilton and Schumacher, 5 for Fangio, 4 championships for Verstappen, and Verstappen has more race victories than Vettel achieved in his career. Like, so that puts Vettel down in 5th place because statistically, because I'm putting championships as being like the thing that puts the drivers in front first, and then race win second. I don't know, mate. Obviously, yeah, there was a bit of naivety on David Hill's part. Vettel has more wins than Prost, yeah. So yeah, Prost is behind Vettel, like on the statistical front. Like I did not say Alan Prost, by the way. I said Hamilton, Schumacher, Fangio, because he has 5 drivers' championships, despite only having 25 wins, I think, 24 wins. Verstappen the 4th, and then Sebastian Vettel 5th, ahead of Prost who's 6th. Yeah, this is the other thing. Like, other drivers had way better highlights than Vettel. And by the way, and I know this might seem harsh, but Sebastian Vettel never won a race starting outside the top 3 in his career. Contrast that to Kimi Räikkönen, who I think won at least, was it 5 or 6 races starting outside the top 5 positions? Like, Kimi Räikkönen did the opposite. Kimi Räikkönen was the king of winning from like being stuck in a midfield, and yet he would win a race. Okay, so that's your personal top 5. I think that's a fairly decent list there. Schumacher, Senna, Fangio, Prost, and Clark. I know I've gone on record putting Fangio, Prost first and second, and then putting someone like Schumacher third, Hamilton 4th, and then I don't know who's 5th on my list. I keep forgetting. I don't know. 5th place is like absolutely up in the air for me. It's like I can't decide whether it's Jim Clark or even Jackie Stewart for 5th place. But I think I'll go with Jim Clark for 5th place. But yeah, obviously Vettel did get on the podium a lot starting 10th or lower, but it's just a really strange statistic with Vettel, though. But of course, we have to remember Kimi Raikkonen did achieve a lot of his best results when they had to carry fuel on board in qualifying. So qualifying was basically like the first lap of the actual race itself, because some teams would put more fuels in their car in order to optimize their race strategy by starting lower but going on a deeper run in the early stint. Yeah, well, sometimes I'm afraid with strategy, things can work against you. Yeah, but that's because Ayrton Senna picked up like 65 pole positions in 161 races. So I think in Ayrton Senna's case, he was just an absolute master on a qualifying lap. Like, I think his pole position record is at least 42%. And he was getting pole positions for Lotus when of course Lotus were no longer championship contenders. So whilst unfortunately most of Vettel's poles came at Red Bull, so like because it has to be said his personal performance levels dropped off quite a fair bit when he joined Maranello, I'm afraid. I don't know. I mean, the problem with Ayrton Senna is that he did get involved in a lot of accidents. He broke his car down. He had a lot of car breakdowns. He collided with other drivers a lot. He made a lot of mistakes. I know it can sound harsh because, of course, its premature demise means that there's always a case of what if with Ayrton Senna. I always believed that Senna would have been the 94 champion had he lived, but he would have gone on to lose 95 to Schumacher because Schumacher drove so supremely well in 1995. Although, of course, whether Schumacher and Benetton would have been given a penalty for 1995, where let's just say Schumacher might have got like a two-race ban at the start of 1995 for his driving in the previous season, or maybe Benetton would be blocked from getting Renault engines because, of course, Senna would have said that, oh, if Renault give engines to Benetton, then I'm leaving Williams or something stupid like that. Then who knows? Like all we know, Benetton could have been using Mugen Honda engines instead. Yeah, but I don't find Vettel to have been a very consistent driver in his career, I'm afraid. Like, I really can't help but think that he was like with a stable rear end that Adrian Newey designed for me on the Red Bull with a blown diffuser and a huge amount of downforce the Red Bull diffusers produced. Once he lost that for the through the 2014 regulations, which restricted the size of diffusers, he really did start to slow down a little bit. And then, of course, when he went to Ferrari, where, of course, the engineers and the designers didn't design a car that behaved like the Adrian Newey Red Bulls, then unfortunately, Vettel just kind of gradually lost his way. And, of course, his personal frustrations with how the team was ran also. I think in many ways, the car handling and, of course, the operation of Ferrari really, really threw Vettel off his game. Yeah, I know Hamilton. Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, though, everybody called Hamilton a moron and a fool for joining Mercedes, yet everything went extremely well when he joined him. So, and on top of that, even though we did lose the 16 championship to Rosberg, it was basically a pyrrhic victory for Rosberg because he then went and immediately retired because he was absolutely knackered from fighting Hamilton for 3 years. Like he basically, pushed Rosberg to the verge of collapse, despite Rosberg winning the championship. And then, but I think fighting Rosberg during that time mentally and physically toughened Hamilton up. So Vettel couldn't get his way in 17 and 18, and yeah, I actually agree with the Hamilton Prost comparison. Like, both of them were really good for an insanely long time. Like, I mean, Schumacher was good between like 92 to 2006. I mean, Prost was good for pretty much the whole way from 1980 to 93. No, 1980 to 93, yeah. Hamilton, very good between most of 2007 until about 2021. Obviously, he had a bogey, he had a dreadful 2011 season, struggled in parts of 2009 and of course 2010. Yeah, Nicky Lauda, I think, yeah, he was the guy who persuaded Hamilton to join Mercedes, and what a decision! What a brilliant move it was by Lauda. I know some people say that Nico Hulkenberg could have been a guy to lead Mercedes to glory, but the thing is, though, I don't think we've seen enough from Nico Hulkenberg to really prove that he was ever like gonna be a multiple winning world champion had he gone to Merck. Vettel would have won 2017 had Ferrari been more consistent. Oh yeah, and had Ferrari actually produced a reliable car, because of course we all know Vettel's engine blew up in Malaysian qualifying, and then of course it blew up again at the start of the race in Japan. I think, yeah, I know Vettel screwed up at the start of Singapore. I know we're gonna okay, let's not argue about Singapore, because ultimately, what happened at Malaysia and Japan in terms of those power unit failures really destroyed Vettel's championship hope that year. Far more than what happened at Singapore, to be honest. I think Singapore was just a really, hello there, F1 boy. I hope you're doing well. Turn one between Russell and Verstappen is going to be finger licking good, as of course the sponsors at KFC and would often say. My God, I do wonder whether I think Russell will try and do his normal thing. I think Max Verstappen, knowing that he could get a race ban if he deliberately smashes into Russell, will have to be on his best behavior. It would, well, I mean, I know for many years everyone talked about what if Hulkenberg and Rosberg had been teammates, but of course that became academic when Rosberg went and retired after 2016. I have to say, unfortunately, in 2018, Vettel really has no one else to blame but himself. I know he was absolutely infuriated by the stupidity going on in the back room at Maranello, but I know Hamilton made a few errors in 2017, but we have to remember Vettel also did collide with Hamilton at Baku, which was completely uncalled for. I've got to say it. What happened at Baku has to be probably the stupidest thing I've seen Vettel do in his entire career. Like, I don't know why he decided to throw a strop for, what was it? Believing that Hamilton was brake testing him. Like, I mean, from the telemetry maps, I think it proved that Hamilton was braking and accelerating at the same points on previous laps behind the safety car, whilst Vettel, I think, wasn't concentrating. And then because he thought that Hamilton was trying to play tricks with him, then he went and smashed into the side of Hamilton. And then, of course, Vettel had to serve his drive-through penalty. And then Hamilton, because his headrest became unlodged for some reason. I don't know whether it was the accident itself or whether it was because Mercedes forgot to push the headrest back in, had to pit again, and then came out behind Vettel. That's just strange, mate. That's just absolutely bizarre. I don't know. I will say, I think Ferrari had a car that was very good on the short, twisty tracks, slower tracks like Monaco and Hungary and Singapore, but as we all know, reliability completely destroyed. Vettel's hopes of the 2017 championship when his car blew up at Malaysia qualifying and the Japan race. But in 2018, oh God, absolute disaster. And I have to say, I know I'm going to sound biased, but Jesus Christ, as a Kimi Raikkonen fan, it really, really got on my nerves because Kimi Raikkonen finally looked like he was capable of contending for race wins on a regular basis. But of course, we all know being a number two driver, he had to give way to Vettel on a few occasions, which really did by nothing. I mean, okay, I know Kimi was a bit ambitious with his start at China, where he took a very narrow line into turn one and then was forced to slow down and then lost dropped down to like fourth or fifth place, and then I don't know, it just went. And then of course it was only because of the safety car, and of course Verstappen colliding with Vettel that Kimi ended up getting a podium. What a weird season 2018 was at times. And then, of course, Ferrari's new developments from like Suzuka onwards with the new bits and pieces. Well, not Suzuka, was it Russia? I know they were like in the second half of the year, they just started. Mercedes overtook Ferrari in the second half of 2018 with like Ferrari shooting themselves on the back foot with their new bits and pieces for the car. And it was only at Kota that they looked quick again. But of course, Vettel collided with Ricciardo with his up team's mistake of the season, his up team spin, and Kimi took his first win in 5 years. And I mean, I know Kimi wasn't the same Kimi as he was 10 years ago, but in the later stages of races when he started getting fastest lap, then he was climbing up the order. But it's just like, I mean, I know he wasn't quick anymore, but at the same time, it just makes you think, the team had become horribly imbalanced by that point. And then, of course, Vettel just making a lot of very poor mistakes under pressure really did make me think just at certain points that Ferrari were really back in the wrong horse at that point, even though I know, yeah, Kimi wasn't the same super quick driver he was back in 2008, but, that's life. But, yeah, like you said, Japan, the qualifying. Why the hell did he put a pair of intermediates on for Q3 when the track was bone dry? I will never know what the hell was that. And of course, I know they did something stupid. Now, I'm not saying Kimi was better in 2018. I'm saying Kimi was more competitive. That's what I meant to say. Sorry. That's what I meant to say. He was more competitive compared to where he was like in the 4 previous seasons he did, because of course we all know Kimi's second stint at Ferrari was pretty average at best. It's just frustrating, obviously, being a Kimi Raikkonen fan, so I wasn't like. And at that point, I just started to see Vettel as being an absolute pest because of all his mistakes. I'm just sitting there thinking, why is Vettel getting favoured like this now? This is getting really a bit tiring watching Vettel spin all the time and throw away strong qualifying positions. It's just like you just get frustrated. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best way of summing it up, Will. I think that's why it got frustrating, but well, I mean, at least Kimi, well, to be honest, I think the thing that frustrates me the most about Kimi Raikkonen's career is obviously what happened between 2003 and 2008. Not his second stint at Ferrari, because I think he was too slow for most of it. But what happened at McLaren when he was driving for them really gets on my nerves, and it really does feel like Kimi was robbed of at least 2 world championships. Absolutely certain. And I will never get over it until I'm 6 feet under. Glove and steering wheel give. Oh, Okay, here's the qualifying result. Of course, Russell, Verstappen, Piastri, Antonelli, Hamilton is your top five. Alonso with an impressive P6. Norris in a dismal P7. Leclerc in eighth. Hadjar impressing once again for RB in P9. Albon takes 10th. Could be better, to be honest. Then, of course, with Tsunoda's 10-place grid penalty for a red flag infringement. Colapinto 11th. Hulkenberg 12th. Behrman 13th. Alongside him on the 7th row, Ocon 14th. Bottas 15th. Sainz 16th. Stroll, the hometown driver, I wouldn't call him hometown favourite because barely anyone in Canada supports Lance Stroll anymore. 17th. Lawson from New Zealand 18th. Just like Tsunoda, he's in serious trouble. 19th, Gasly, who will be horribly embarrassed to be out qualified by Colapinto. And then, of course, 20th, Tsunoda with his penalty. Yeah, mate, I don't want to make too much of a point about 2018 anymore, but you have to realise I just got so frustrated watching Ferrari that year. I mean, wait, aren't they hosting a race right now? But yet they decided to light up a bunch of fireworks and a drone over the track whilst the cars are still racing. That's weird. No, say I've got to disagree with you. You know what I feel about the mid 2000s. I've stated it many times. Like Kimi was, you know what I feel. Kimi Raikkonen. Well, not what I feel. What I believe. 2003 to 2007, Kimi Raikkonen was absolutely exceptional. Maybe now because it's Sunday. Oh yeah, it's Sunday midnight. Okay, fair enough. But it's just a bit weird. Like, can't they have done it before the race or maybe after the race? It just feels inappropriate, doesn't it, to be doing fireworks and drones in the middle of the night? But the French can do themselves. Well, case of you do you, France. You do you, France. Very weird, but I mean, I can agree with Will in that, yeah, Kimi still wasn't a literal championship contender, but he was at minimum a multiple race winning contender. But I am still adamant that Kimi Raikkonen was the best racing driver in the world between 2003 and 2007. I know I'm being very stubborn, but that's why I passionately supported Kimi until the bitter end. I mean, maybe had he won the championships in 03 and 05, I might be a bit less stubborn and I might have given up on Kimi Raikkonen much sooner, but watching him go through so much pain and heartbreak at McLaren, Mercedes, just made me want to support him way more than I thought I would do, because I just felt like he was owed his dues and he deserved justice at some point. KDF1. Who the hell's KDF1? Like, I don't even know who. Yeah, but 2008 was just it was one of those years, though. I think at that point, like, there were some races Kimi was exceptionally quick, like, obviously, not Bahrain, Spain, Malaysia, and then, of course, Belgium, but of course, Kimi crashed out. There was the setup issues at Silverstone, which caused Massa to spin out 5 times, and it meant that Ferrari had a suboptimal setup for the weight. So Kimi finished a lap down in 4th place, even though he had more pace in the car. What else? Oh yeah, his exhaust broke at France. His engine blew at Valencia. And then Hamilton shoved him off the track at turn 1 at Fuji. I don't know, it just felt like a year where anything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And then, of course, the safety car, and then, of course, the Nelson Piquet clouting the barriers for no apparent reason at Singapore also ruined another potential podium/race win for Kimi. Bloody hell, I've been talking for nearly 2 hours. I think I might need to give my voice a break, and unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to wait until tomorrow to talk about the Club World Cup, where, of course, I'll probably do a live stream for the England under 21 match against Slovenia. And, of course, I'm now planning to also do live streams of the England under 19 to their tournament, having just drawn 2-2 to the Norwegian under 19. So, of course, that's Norway's only youth team to be playing any youth tournament this summer. Yeah, but everyone's going to kick the bucket soon, so I don't know, mate. I'll feel a lot more sorry for his children if that happens. If he was to kick the bucket in the next 10 years. I wouldn't want to wish the early demise of their father at a young age. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, Kimmy's already achieved everything he's wanted to achieve in life, so at least I can be satisfied with that. It just feels like an injustice that Kimmy couldn't really fully rubber stamp his status as an F1 legend a lot more than he did. I don't know, mate. I mean, we also have to realise there's also the stories and conspiracy theories about Ferrari, at Santander wanting Fernando Alonso and then wanting to sabotage Kimi Raikkonen. So you're going to get me down a really deep rabbit hole, mate. I'm not going to, I mean, it's just, I mean, it wasn't just the fact he was struggling with the car, but it was also all the incidents I listed, mechanical issues at France, Valencia, set up issues at Silverstone because Ferrari just crashing out Spa, being turfed off the road at Japan by Hamilton, absolute moron. And then, of course, oh god, I mean, 2008 is just such a ball ache for me to remember. Nah, I don't know. Kieran Smith is even more. To be fair, I understand Kieran Smith's side of the story. It's just that, unfortunately, he's attracted a lot of Fernando Alonso fans to his channel who want to sit there and tell him how wrong he is. So he's made a rod for his own back there, I'm afraid. And of course, he's also been an idiot by titling videos as Fernando Alonso's worst ever qualifying lap at, what was it, 2004 Bahrain? What was it? Another race in 2003, was it? I can't remember, was it? Oh yeah, the Italian Grand Prix where he went off at the first chicane and he started 20th, and then he ran into the back of a Minardi at the start of the race and rescued a point at the end with an 8th place finish, which was actually a decent drive considering he damaged his car a lot at the start of the race. My God, I remember a lot of rubbish about F1, that's all I'm going to say. Nah, no. Kimmy's not coming back to Formula 1, mate. I think he's happy enough being the managing the Kawasaki motocross team. I think that's enough, mate. I think Kimi Raikkonen has already stated he despises the politics of F1. Mate, we all like Kimi Raikkonen is not a fan of F1 politics. He's said that 1,000 times. To be fair, I suffer from a bit of Kimi Raikkonen PTSD myself. Like, it just feels like in another planet, another universe, had Kimi Raikkonen won those 3 championships like I said he should have done, I would actually be a lot less, I would have ended up becoming a lot less defensive of Kimi Raikkonen, and I think I would have a more laid-back approach when it comes to defending Kimi. I would have been like, yeah, great start to his career, but then the second half he just fell off because he was too busy drinking vodka and enjoying his life. But you know, Kimi Raikkonen has a net worth of approximately £100 million, which is 130 US dollars, which is, I don't know, 110 million euros or something, which is pretty nice salary if you can earn it. I think he's actually kept hold of his money pretty well, despite being divorced back in 2014 from his first wife, Jenny Dowman. And of course, he also had to deal with the early demise of his father, who had a snowmobile accident back in 2008. His dad turned into a full-blown alcoholic and then lost his life after he fell off at the end of his bed at the end of in Christmas 2010. And of course, sadly, his father never got to see the birth of his children like Robin, Rihanna, and Grace. I don't know, mate. I have no idea. I don't know. I think Kimi Räikkönen in recent years has actually stayed away from alcohol. I don't know. I don't like he doesn't post often on Instagram anymore, so I have no idea. Like I think his private life is very much it really is a proper private life now. So I have no one knows what Kimi Räikkönen is like with his relationship with alcohol anymore. As for Felipe Massa, yeah, get a life, Felipe, get a life, get a hobby, go fishing, go and enjoy your millions. Like he's probably worth at least like 50 million euros, $50 million or whatever it says. Come on, Felipe, you can't be like, dude, you won 11 races for Ferrari. Like, you've already got a very high status as a human being just doing that alone. And finishing runners up in 2008, 1 point behind Hamilton. Just fighting Hamilton for a season in itself is already hard enough. Like, Rosberg went and retired the moment he beat Hamilton. So that should tell you everything about what a headache competing against Sir Lewis actually is. And Max Verstappen can tell you that. Yeah, 2014, Kimi Räikkönen was pretty much done for in terms of being a top F1 driver, so I don't even care about that anymore. I can't even be asked. And, well, karma paid its full price when Fernando Alonso went to McLaren Honda, so, and it's still paying, and karma is still kicking Alonso in the backside ever since he went to join Alpine and Aston Martin, so as long as Alonso never wins a race again, I don't really need to badmouth Alonso as much as other people do. I think I actually need to end this podcast because this has gone. Oh my bloody hell! Absolutely, I never thought I'd be doing a post-race stream like a post-quali stream like this. So thank you for watching here at Crystal Racing, and I'll see you again next time. Peace and over and out.